Who said that? Authority doesn't come from rank.
And I just learned that this would actually be Shallan's favorite book. Hard shot of alcohol, right? Little boom. It's really potent and intense. He wants like this beer over here. So he like uses that lashing ability to have like the beer like.
Do we have theme music for Wave Kings?
No, it's just a book. They don't have like a TV show for it. You could make theme music if you want. Like hum something for me, and that's the Wave Kings.
What about, what's the Conan song?
Oh gosh, with Arnold Schwarzenegger?
Yeah, what's the one for that?
Oh my gosh, it's been so long since I've seen that.
I know.
Welcome to the CodeX Cantina, where I am Una and Team Dalinar.
And I am need of some epic music for this amazing book, Crypto Teen Kaladin. I don't know. I need theme music. I need like big barbarian theme music.
Oh, no, that's not.
Oh, don't do that. We'll get demonetized for Game of Thrones.
All right, so here is the question that I have been struggling with since I started this book, which is, how on earth do you describe the Way of Kings to someone who has never read this book before?
I will take one word for 200, Alex.
I've been thinking about this, and
okay.
I'm looking back to how fantasy, the father of fantasy, if you will, Tolkien, the Lord of the Rings.
Could we call him Tolkien Stormfather?
Stormfather Tolkien is what his new name
Stormfather
is.
Tolkien.
Boom.
Okay, yes.
So Stormfather
yes.
Tolkien. Do you know how Lord of the Rings was released?
It was released in 3 movies, right?
Interestingly, it was serialized in 3 different volumes, which are the 3 different movies that most people, I think, are familiar with. But when you open the book, you'll see it's book 1, 2, book 3, book 4, all the way up to 6. But in terms of authorial intent of how he envisioned it as one book. Okay? So you and I right now are also reading Crime and Punishment, which was also serialized. But it's Crime and Punishment is one book, right? You don't have this divide of these 3 volumes the way Lord of the Rings is.
Because I see where you're going with this for the Stormlight Saga.
So we did not Stormlight Saga. So we did not just read the Way of Kings book. Okay, that's if I were to describe to someone who's like, hey, I'm kind of into fantasy, like someone who's really into fantasy, they're going to know Stormlight Archive, right? Like, you're going to know this. If you're like, I'm kind of into fantasy, should I pick this up? Here's my warning to you. You are not purchasing book 1 called The Way of Kings. You are purchasing volume 1 of 10 of the Stormlight Archives. In no way, shape, or form did Sanderson look at this as there's no way he looked at this as like, this is my book. He's like, this is the beginning that I need to create the Stormlight Archive in these 10 serialized volumes is how you have to look at this. Because if you look at this as like a single volume or a single book, it's weird. Right?
Yeah, especially from an analytical standpoint, but I think from an enjoyment standpoint as well. And I've joked about it with people and you and everything that this is the longest prologue ever written. And I think my wife said it better, and she goes, "Oh, so basically it's chapter 1 of a 10-chapter book that's 11,000 pages long." That's what it is.
You just have to be aware of, I feel like, as you enter this, because when it comes to like Brandon Sanderson and these spren, he forgot his exposition spren to explain what the heck those things are. This entire book has spren all over the place. Doesn't even care to explain what they are, right? We'll give you that in book 2.
Yeah. But the audiobook spren push it to 45 hours. So they nailed those. Patience spren. Do you think they have a best friend spren?
But to that point of, the serialized release, so when Crime and Punishment was coming out in these periodicals in Russia, how do you keep people, much like comic books, coming back? You can't give them all the answers right away, right? You got to set some foundation. You got to kind of tease them into the next volume. You're not going to get a lot of answers in The Way of Kings, but it is a fun ride, particularly, I guess what people are calling the Sanderlanche at the end, where he gives you no information in the beginning. And then he crams all the actual stuff that actually happens in the book in the last couple hundred pages. And that's a real thing, because I was like, I was struggling through some of this where I'm like, okay, is anything going to happen? Like, I'm kind of falling off. And then the Sanderson happens, and I'm like, oh, finally, stuff's happening at the end. This is cool.
Yeah, it really does pick up at the end. And I guess, are we allowed to do spoilers?
Let's move into this game that you've invented for me. How did you describe? I wrote characters said what? What is this game exactly?
So there was a radio show back in the 1950s called Who Said That? And it had a whole bunch of famous actors and actresses on there, and they would give quotes, and you had to guess who said it. So I created 10 questions for you, my good friend, to see how well you know the Way of Kings.
So basically, instead of someone famous, you get me. Congratulations.
You're YouTube famous. That's just as equivalent as radio famous, right?
Wait, is it
you have a radio face.
Is it too late to kind of disclaim that I only casually read this? I did not do our analytical reading. I just did an inspectional for fun read. Am I allowed to?
You have a high IQ and a good memory, so no.
Oh,
denied.
Come on. All right, hit me with it. Let's do this. All right, how's this game work?
10 questions, right? I'm going to give you the quote, and then I'm going to give you 3 choices, and you have to tell me who said this.
Okay, the answer is Dalinar to all of them.
All right, game over. You lose. All right, thanks for playing.
Team Dalinar, what's up? Let's do this. Okay, I'm ready.
All right, first quote. Who said that? Authority doesn't come from rank. General Custer, Kaladin, Dalinar.
Okay, interesting. You didn't even have like a throwaway like Shallan. Like, I knew it wouldn't be Shallan, right? Kaladin learns he must follow rank, so it can't be Kaladin. So it's either General Custer or Dalinar. I'm going to go with... In General Custer, he demands respect, right? I'm going to go with Dalinar.
It's Kaladin.
Oh, come on, dude. That's what he learned from, like, the side carry mission is he's got to follow some orders, right? Like,
There's a little bit more to the sentence in the quote that he goes after there. Authority doesn't come from rank. You must, like, earn it or something. He says the rest of it. Yeah. I think it's when he's talking to Rock.
What is Rock, who comes from Russia, but we don't admit that he comes from Russia?
Yeah, that's very stereotype.
Why don't they just admit that he hates shorts and likes drinking vodka and just make it complete?
And no violence, though. No violence.
All right, give me question 2. Question 2. I got question 1 right.
You got it wrong. Who said that? We may enter many defeats, but we must not be defeated. Dalinar, Maya Angelou, Elokar.
I'm going to go Dalinar. Team Dalinar.
Maya Angelou.
The answer is always Dalinar. Come on.
All right. With this next one, you can't say it because one of the choices I didn't put is Dalinar. Okay. Okay.
Hit me.
Who said that? Do what you can with all you have, wherever you are. Teddy Roosevelt, Yasna, Rock.
Teddy Roosevelt.
Ding, 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 ding. You got one right finally. Good job. Good job.
That was an easy one.
Dalinar's in the question again, just to give you a heads up.
Dalinar.
I know you're going to pick him.
It's Dalinar.
Who said that? To see what is right and not do it is a lack of courage. Dalinar, Renarin, Confucius.
It's Dalinar.
Final answer?
Yes.
It's Confucius.
You did a really bad job of representing Dalinar in this quiz. All right, I have to give up. I have to give up my hope, and I'm gonna play this game for real now. Let's do this. Come on.
Okay. This question is a little bit different because I thought this would be kind of fun and unique. So this is not who said that, but which book is this from? And you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. The Bible, The Way of Kings, Book 1 of the Stormlight Saga. Archive. Or the actual Way of Kings written inside of the Way of Kings.
The Bible.
Ah, good job. Ding, 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 ding. Good job.
Keep using real references. I can get those.
All right. Here we go. Next one. Who said that? It's not whether you get knocked down. It's whether you
what
get
number
up.
Are we at? Is this 5? Is this number 6?
I don't have them numbered. Shallan. Shallan, is that your name? Shallan. Shalom. Lombardi, Adolin.
Oh, Vince Lombardi, yeah.
Vince Lombardi. Good job. Ding, 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 ding.
Didn't
All
Rocky
right.
also say that in one of the Rocky movies?
Maybe.
Or maybe it's just what he did. Because he got put down a lot.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. But he always got back up until like Rocky 5 or something like that. All right. All right, well, back to the game. Back to the game. You're getting me distracted. All right. Who said that? Ah, the outdoors. I visited that mystical place once. Shallan. Syl. A 2020 retiree stuck in an old folks' home.
Okay. It ought to have been said by Shallan after spending the entire book in a library.
It is Shallan. I gave this to my wife, and she actually guessed the 2020 retiree.
Well,
To her defense, she didn't finish the book, though. All right, here we go. Who said that? Somebody has to start. Somebody has to step forward and do what is right because it is right. President Lincoln, Kaladin, Navanin, Navanin? I don't understand her name.
Dalinar.
He's not even a choice.
He should have said that because that is an epic saying. It's Kaladin.
It's Kaladin. All right, here's another good one. Who said that? It is not the destination that matters, but how one arrives there. Dr. Seuss, Syl, or Wit?
What was the second one? Shalom?
Syl.
Syl? No, Syl doesn't say anything unique. She's just like Kaladin asks these like really plutonic and deep questions against her, and she's like, I don't know. Like, I'm just learning how to speak. Like,
It is Syl, actually.
is it really?
Yeah, I think in this one, I can't remember exactly where it comes from, but I think it's the part where he's going to kill himself.
Oh, I hate that scene.
I think
the chasm scene.
The chasm scene. Yeah. All right, last one. Who said that?
Well, it's interesting too because Christy Lewis, when she wrote that tag, she wrote that there was a lot of plutonic theory question approaches to this book, and I was like, I don't understand what you're talking about because we hadn't read this book yet. And then I read it, and there's all these things that Kaladin's asking Syl that Syl clearly cannot answer, and I'm like, oh, that's where it came from.
That makes a lot of sense now, actually. Yeah. All right, last one. Back to the game. Last one. Sometimes the prize is not worth the cost. The means by which we achieve victory is as important as the victory itself.
Dalinar.
Winston Churchill, Dalinar, or Kaladin?
Dalinar.
Yeah, it's Dalinar. You just say that stupid answer, because otherwise I would have got you.
No, I
said
remember that
Churchill.
one. I do remember that one. That was Team Dalinar.
All right, you definitely failed, though.
All right.
You definitely failed.
All right, so here's something I have to get off my chest because we don't do a lot of fantasy on this channel. But it is something that we want to have fun with. Michael Knipp was very gracious enough to have purchased this book for us. And, a little bit of a surprise, we actually already have Words of Radiance. So we'll be continuing on the journey with Words of Radiance to your behest, I'm sure.
No, I'm excited.
But I will say this. I knew this going into it. I'm like, okay, it's fantasy. There's going to be like breadcrumbs all over the place. There's something interesting about how fantasy will constantly put like a statement or a fact or something in there. Like you can detect it when you see it. You're like, what does that mean? And it's only once you read further on in the book, it's explained. I call that breadcrumb theory, with the idea that it's the idea of enticing the reader to keep going, to keep reading. You have to figure out this mystery. It's like Scooby-Doo, right? They Scooby-Doo you in a sense where it's like, I'm going to give you this piece of information, but I'm not going to explain the how or the why. I'm just giving you the what. And it's only once you further read, and sometimes you're given things and you don't realize it matters until later on. I'm going to call that breadcrumb theory, okay? And I
would have finished the book if it weren't for you pesky kids.
Well, it leads to this like almost like checkbox mentality of like, hey, I've read 2 of the 3. I've read all 3, getting ready up to go. It's interesting that like I think there's this hidden drive within like this fantasy world that you want to keep reading because you want to be able to know everything. And it almost like gives you there's like a lot of satisfaction and finally that relief, that knowing of knowledge that you get from reading these stories. As it comes up, I will point out, I'm just going to say breadcrumb theory. And that means that like, if you've read further than what we've read, which is just the first book, and you're like, oh, you got to keep reading to figure it out. I'm going to say breadcrumb theory because This is not a book that was written to be understood by itself. You must continue on the journey, and he's planted seeds that you must water and take care of and remember and nurture to finally give value and growth to.
Okay, 2 things. We're going to call it BCT. All right?
Oh, I like that. Hashtag BCT, Team Dalinar, right?
Yeah, hashtag BCT, Team Kaladin. And we have a friend that's like that he loves knowing everything about a universe, whatever we're reading, Star Wars, fantasy, whatever he's reading. He loves going to the wikis, and he thrives in getting all of that world building and knowing all those things and stuff. And it is interesting because I don't really subscribe to the breadcrumb theory. It irritates me. BCT kind of makes me mad because I'm like, just tell me already. Like, I'm going to keep reading your book. You already got my money. Like, even if I don't finish it, what do you care? For me, I like the hero winning, or seeing if the villain's going to win, or if there is closure, or if they're going to make a point, or if there's character development. There's so many other reasons that I read a book.
It's not important to us, but it is important to fantasy. And that's just something that we're not going to be able to critique because it just comes with the territory, right? So, for example, the prologues, right? These prologues were hilarious to me, right? So we have 9 of the, I think they're heralds, right? In the beginning, the first opening section, where they're like, "Hey, we quit our jobs. We're not going to be heralds anymore. Like, we don't really like being tortured for centennias, and we don't really want to fight against these Voidbringers. We quit." But Johnny, the one left behind, he'll defend humanity. Like, he'll take care of it. Like this is literally a bunch of people quitting their job in the beginning prologue, and you're like, what? And it like doesn't really come up again. It's the BCT of, well, you got to keep reading. You'll find out what the heralds are in book 2. Just read the first 20 pages, and then after another 1,000, well, then we'll give you some more, right? Like,
it's the poor kid. It's the poor busboy that everybody's gone for the night, and he's the one that has to go and clean up the puke.
All right, so we don't, as only book 1 readers, we've enjoyed this book. We're going to continue on with Words of Radiance. We don't really know exactly what the heralds or radiance mean in the grander scheme of things. They've been introduced, but it's kind of like, okay, like the exposition spread has yet to come out, right? So let's go. I'm going to give you an option. Do you want to do the Knights Radiant quiz to see what Knights Radiant order you are? I guess
I do.
Or
yes.
do you want to do the order quiz where you get put in? I don't know what an order is, but you can do one of these 2 quizzes. Which one do you want to do?
I'm a red knight.
You're gonna do the Knights Radiant? Okay, let's do the Knights Radiant.
Yeah, I want to be a red knight. Actually, I want to be a Rashomon, like with Randall Thor. Is that an option?
Right. What Knights Radiant order is crypto? Let's find out. Choose a superpower. A, the ability to fly. B, the ability to visit a parallel universe. Or C, the ability to heal wounds easily.
C.
You're like Wolverine over here. All right, which of the following did you like?
Actually, I would do that because I would give my blood to like you or my wife to help you guys out.
Oh, stop trying to play White Knight. Which of the following did you like to when you...
That's not a real sentence.
No, this is the grammar of this quiz, okay?
Words.
Which of the following did you
Teacher's
like
coming out, I'm sorry.
When you went to a park as a kid? A, go down the slide. B, play in the sandbox. Or C, skip stones on a lake or creek.
Oh, I have a horrible story. When I was playing in a sandbox as a little kid, I got hit in the face with a board, and there was a rusty nail in it, and it like ripped my entire eyelid off, and I was like screaming and bleeding, and my mom was going nuts. And there was this lifeguard at the pool next to the park, and this lady lifeguard jumped down from her tower, vaulted like a 6-foot fence, and like came over with her beach towel and like wrapped it around my head. And they called the police, or they called the fire truck, and they like came and like took me to the hospital, and I had to have reconstructive surgery. It's pretty crazy. So I'm definitely going with sandbox.
Dude, that's why you're so ugly. Good Lord.
I got a little tiny scar right there. Zoom in on that.
You need to do a project for an art class. Which of the following do you choose to do?
Cheat.
A, mold something with clay. B, paint a landscape. Or C, carve a wood figure.
Wood figure. Next.
What's your favorite primary color? Blue, red, yellow.
Blue. I look best in it, my wife says.
What's your favorite secondary color? Green, orange, violet.
Violet.
You find yourself in war. What role are you? General or leader? B, infantry. C, medic or surgeon. Or D, scout or cartographer?
Medic. No, I can't do needles. General.
All right.
I like being in charge.
Which would you more likely to do a science project on? Social habits, A. B, metamorphosis. Or C, human body?
I don't know. History, science, no. The first one, I guess.
Social habits? Okay.
Sure.
Who is your favorite major character in the Stormlight Archive so far?
Kaladin.
Who is your favorite minor character in the Stormlight Archive so far? A, Lift.
Syl. Oh, no, go ahead.
A, Lift. B, Yasna. C, Renarin. Or D, Talm.
No, Sun Valan. Zeth.
He's the main character. He's one of the 4 main characters. You got to choose a minor character. Lift, Yasna.
He's in the book for like 2 pages.
I know, but that's how Brandon Sanderson works. He's like, I don't want to write that story yet. I will write that in book 4 after you've read these other 3,000 pages.
5,000. Well, just pick one for me then.
All right, you're Yasna. I'm choosing you.
Okay.
Choose a spren as a companion. A high spren, an honor spren, or an ink spren. And
Honor spren.
There's definitions for each one of these, but I'm not going to give them to you.
Honor.
Yeah. Choose a herald. Chana, Ishar, Nalan, or Yezrian. Do you want the descriptions? Do you want a Dustbringer?
No.
Do you want a Dustbringer, a Bondsmith, a Skybreaker, or a Windrunner?
Windrunner.
Windrunner? That's Yezrian.
Okay. I couldn't say it anyway.
What's the best type of power? The power to destroy? Yeah. The power to create, or the power to unite and lead?
Create.
Choose a subject. History.
History.
I'm not even going to read the others. What is most important in war? A, secretary, B, resolve, or C, A, secrecy, B, resolve, C, raw power.
Resolve.
All right.
This Gettysburg, baby.
Time to see your result.
This is crypto.
Dude, you're a Windrunner.
What's that mean? What knight am I?
No. This is like your Knights Radiant. Like which Knights Radiant order are you? I think the Windrunners were
like what denomination I am.
Yeah. So the Windrunners were founded by Yezrian, the king of the heralds. They favor large numbers and have many squires within their ranks. So basically, you like to have people do your work for you. Was what this is telling me.
Well, you can attest to that. That's true.
Yeah, no, for sure. Windrunners have the surges, gravitation, and adhesion. Their first ideal is life before death, strength before weakness, journey before destination.
Did you do this?
Didn't we hear that? Didn't Kaladin say those things? I feel like I've heard those before. Their second ideal is I will protect those who cannot protect themselves. Dude, that's totally Kaladin, isn't it? But
that's totally me.
I thought because didn't Syl be like, well, I'm not really a wind spren, I'm totally an honor spren.
Yeah, he's probably going to be the reincarnation of that dude. Because they're all the reincarnation of the Radiants. That's what it is.
You think Kaladin's going to be a reincarnation of Yezrian or whatever, or his power or whatever it is?
Yeah, and Dalinar is going to be one of the other dudes, and
his or her power. Yeah. Don't know. Yezrian.
Shalom is going to be one. Yasna is going to be one. They're all going to be reincarnation of those people for sure.
Dude, we need more Seth in our lives. Like, I'm not fully clean unless I'm Zeth fully clean.
Zeth fully clean. Yeah. Agreed. He was probably arguably my favorite character, other than maybe Kaladin. Those two are hopefully they meet up and they're become bros.
Dude, I would totally read a short story novella on Kaladin and Seth just drinking beer in a
tavern.
In a bar. Yeah. I would totally read it. Like, can you imagine that? Like, there'd be something as simple as Zeth is he wants this beer over here, so he uses that lashing ability to have the beer come to his hand basically.
And say they were both had their hands on each side of the bar, one was their left hand, one was the right hand, and the beer is just sitting there going between it. That'd be funny.
So I in the live stream, so we're doing this as a part of #StormAlong2020. If you haven't been following along with that, please make sure you follow that. But one of the Kayla from Books with Kayla mentioned that whoever, if they ever do like a movie adaptation of the Stormlight Archive, whoever plays Kaladin has to have like the tightest butt. And I can't stop thinking of Kaladin and having like a really nice butt now. So here I am thinking like the camera zooms in and Kaladin sitting there like in really tight pants right now. That's just where my mind is now.
I picture Jim Carrey in Dumb and Dumber. Remember when he's got his butt out? He's got a nice butt. He's tall, and he's got the crazy eyes. He could do the beard. He could do it. He's a little old, but...
All right, so real quick, Crypto, I want to bring up Ketchup on Your Cornflakes book that I have been reading to my son. And I just learned that this would actually be Shallan's favorite book, believe it or not. Are you ready for this?
Hit me.
So when you open it up, okay, you've got a top and a bottom, right? Do you like ketchup on your cornflakes? No, right? And you can change the bottom, right? Do you like ketchup on your apple pie? No. And this is like a fun game that I play with my son, right? So eventually I got to this page. Do you like jam on your apple pie? No, we don't like jam on our apple pie. Do you like jam in your lemonade? No. But what would Shallan be saying? All right, so let's think about this from Shallan's perspective. Do you like jam in your bathtub? Hell yeah, I want jam in my bathtub. Do you want jam on your toes? Heck yeah, let's put some jam on them toesies. Do you want jams on your chips? I want my chips in jam, is what Shallan would be saying. So if you would like to read Shallan's favorite book, it is Ketchup on Your Cornflakes by Nick Sherratt.
You know what Yasna would have said? You can take that and you can jam it up your...
So let's move into our rating system here. Okay, so I have a unique proposal for us today. So instead of like numbers, because numbers can be kind of insulting of like good or not good, I have a proposal here. So our rating system is water, okay, which is clear, it's natural. And on the other hand, we have a hard shot, right? So a hard shot of alcohol, right? A little boom. It's really potent and intense, okay? So if water is the weakest, the next is beer can, okay? So for those that drink beer, just saying, you know, a 12-ounce can of beer is considered equivalent to a shot. So it's there, it's definitely available in the story, and you notice it, and it's something that you can drink, enjoy, that sort of thing. The third class is wine, okay? So it's very potent, it's sophisticated, right? It's intelligent, right? And then our last category, like I said, is the hard shot, where it's just ripped and raw with lots of alcohol, and like this is how you're going to get drunk quick, or that's just a very potent flavor that you're going to enjoy
straight to the
small
point.
little sips. Yeah. So that's our rating system on these. All right, so let's go through these step by step. Action sequences. You're going to give it the water, the beer can, the wine glass, or the hard shot.
For the entire 1,000 pages?
No, not like how often were they, but when you got to an action sequence, was it water, right? Like, so if you think as the Hobbit as the definition of water,
okay.
because
I got you now.
Because they don't happen, right? Every time action sequence is going to happen, Bilbo like gets lost or is knocked out.
Yeah. Okay. I would go with wine glass. They're very sophisticated. The writing is very sophisticated with the lashings with Zeth and with the battles and the tactics of the two sides, you know, on the shattered plains. Yeah, very sophisticated, I think. So I'm going to go with wine glass.
Dude, I'm going with hard shot. Like these, you're not fully clean unless you're Zeth fully clean. Like, I need more. I would read the rest of the Stormlight Archive for the sole purpose, even if Brandon Sanderson's like, you know what, I don't want to put Zeth as the main character in book 4 anymore. I'm going to make him the main character in book 9. I would read all 8 books up until I could read a book dedicated to Zeth, because those action scenes, in my opinion, are the best action scenes I have ever read in any book. Not just fantasy books, in any book. Best action scenes I've ever read. Hard shot.
That's high praise.
It is.
Okay, cool. All
All
right,
right.
next topic.
Next topic. World building.
Beer can.
Beer can. Okay.
Light beer can. Light beer.
You got the Bud Light of world building. This is interesting because I think actually I'm totally opposite end where this is hard shot, where it's there's so much world building. Like when a character is introduced and they talk about what they're wearing, with the soft hand, with how the world it revolves around these high storms, with the plants that retract when a high storm's coming. He really thought through a lot of things, and I'm not saying I liked it. It was a lot, but it was a ton of world building in volume 1 of the Stormlight Archive book, right?
Yeah, I guess one thing I think is that there's so much, but nothing is ever explained, like why my left hand is covered.
Yeah, yeah.
Like that's world building, but if you don't do anything with it, if you don't explain it, then it's just there.
Wait. BCT. Someone out there is going, oh, you got to get to book 2. They explain what the safe hand is in book 2.
Okay, well, BCT then.
BCT. All right, plot.
Water.
Yeah, hard water on that one. There's
Apocalypse is coming, and Dalinar's got to unite them. Kaladin's going to help. They're going to save the world. Like,
boiling it down, Kaladin's no longer a slave. Dalinar freedom. Shallan didn't do anything. Not going to steal now.
Yeah.
And Seth still bound by his oath spren like thing. Like he discovered something.
He killed more people. He killed people in the beginning. He killed people in the end.
But that doesn't actually accomplish anything. That's the definition of action with no movement, right? Like lots of action and no movement in this book. Try and fight me on that one. Let's talk about it scene by scene. All right, dialogue. What do you think of the dialogue in this one?
Light beer. Again.
Yeah, definitely a beer. One of my favorite parts about him... Okay, so you're going to have to tell me what your thoughts about light beer. But let me give you this one to start with. I used to constantly make fun of my best friend because he'd ask me something and he'd be like, do you want to do that or no? And I'd be like, you've literally given me every option possible. Like, hey, do you want to go pick up some more Coca-Cola at the store or just stay here? And I'm like, dude, those aren't good options. Like there were literally like, here, let me pull this up on my Kindle here real quick. So Brandon would do that sometimes in this novel. And I don't know how you can defend this as amazing writing, but he'd say, like other Spren, they were said to always be around, but usually invisible. Sometimes you attracted them. Sometimes you didn't. You don't need to list all these different options, but he does this a lot.
For me, I guess kind of thought this is a beer can because with a lot of the writing, he is so good at creating this world building, and that kind of ties it back to my world building answer too, is then other times he created this whole world, but then it's like he was, I don't know, lazy or just felt like he couldn't create some new things for it, like we wouldn't get it. I'm like, dude, I'm this far in, you know, like you're going to have to give me a thesaurus or a wiki or something, so might as well do it. He would use things from our world, which would not exist in this foreign dimension, this alternate universe.
Oh, like for example, like strawberries, how they existed only on like the Shinovar or whatever.
Well, like strawberries wouldn't even probably exist in their world, right? Why didn't he come up with some new food, or even using like our time of measurement and stuff? Like, I know it's petty, but if you're building this whole world, there's a balance.
Because if you have too much new stuff, then it's just frustrating. Right, and then we'd just be on here complaining about how there's all this new stuff. Like, what the heck does it mean?
So that was my concern with like the dialogue kind of tied into the world building.
All right, characters. What do you think about the characters? Water, beer can, wine glass, or hard shot?
This is a difficult answer because on some of them I think they're wine glass, and others I think they're hard shot. I love a lot of his characters. I actually think you could do it all four. Like Shalom is so boring. But I think that Syl and Zest, Fully Clean, and Kaladin are great characters. I think that he's finding, I'm sure it's BCT, but he's writing them better, I'm sure, as we go along in the journey with them. But then the other characters, I don't know. He writes a lot of throwaway characters, so I think it's all of them. I actually think it's character specific.
Yeah, I think he writes compelling characters. I do. I don't think none of these characters are things that I'd put up there as we should introduce into literature courses as great character studies. So I can't give a hard shot because of that. But I think all of these characters are relatable. You know, we have a friend that's talked about depression, and I think Kaladin's character really embodies a lot of a non-perfect hero. And I don't think it's meant to deconstruct fantasy characters, like, you know, these perfect characters. I'm good, I'm evil. Like, you have characters that are flawed, some characters that are meant to be working on some self-improvement things. I think I can understand these characters too. There's no point in any of these characters where I'm like, that doesn't make sense. She wouldn't act that way. I think it was all very believable with the characters, but in terms of growth, in terms of dynamics, a lot of these characters didn't have these great things. Like, we always knew Dalinar was going to do the right thing. We always knew Kaladin was going to stick up and try to save friends. Like, there was nothing shocking about any of that. And if it was shocking to you, well, hey, good for you. But nothing here is a great character study, but they're all realistic and compelling. So I'm going to go with Wineglass for my rating for characters.
Cool. I like that.
Yeah. Well, I mean, to some people, they're willing to overlook some of these flaws, or maybe they don't notice these flaws and like, this is the greatest book that I've ever read. We don't want to take that away from you, but I will just say that as someone who reads very critically, someone who reads very closely, I am okay with books having flaws. I'm okay with people, like, quote from Lovecraft Country, books are flawed, but they're like people. Even though they have flaws, you still have to love them. And that's how I feel like The Way of Kings. I like this book a lot. I really enjoy it, and I'm looking forward to reading the Words of Radiance, but it still has its flaws, and I'm willing to accept and embrace that and talk about it. I don't mean to demean your experience. If it's your greatest book of ever, you don't have to change that opinion.
Yeah, I would agree. Because there are several things, I know books that I like that people would be like, oh my God, Wheel of Time, this, blah, 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 that. And that's a fair criticism, and that's okay. Right. It doesn't mean we can't still enjoy them. And that's the thing is, as long as you get enjoyment out of it, awesome.
So in terms of characters, I did want to bring up one fun thing that I kind of thought of is Syl. So I think when people look at it from Kaladin's perspective of how she's bonding with him, how she's helping him, that I think you have a very positive look on Syl. Like, she's this powerful person that's helping him and stuff like that, right? Like, she's very useful. The way that she would search the chasms and stuff like that. And I think that's a fine way to look at that. That's okay. Is that the way that you looked at her by chance?
Yeah, I looked like her. She was kind of a character/plot device, I felt like. Because he even says, you know, what have you done to me? Well, like, she's the one that gave him the powers or whatever. She's the super soldier serum.
I feel like she's unveiling herself to herself and to us as readers at the same time. Like, we are discovering along with her who Syl really is, and I'm assuming that's going to come out in the next few books, right?
Yeah, possibly.
I don't know why, but I started thinking about this from Syl's perspective. Let's pretend Syl was my favorite character. What did Kaladin do for her, right? So let's pretend she's sent by the Spren Council to be like, okay, you're going to go bond with Kaladin, Syl. And she's like, I gotta go bond with that guy? Seriously? So she goes to bond with him, and what's he do? He sends her out into the chasm to search dead bodies.
Yeah.
Of their enemies for things. Like, don't you think she'd be reporting back to the Spren Council like, yeah, my guy Kaladin kind of a super douche. Can I get reassigned because I don't like being this guy's Padawan at all? And she's constantly directed to do things. Like, can you imagine her sitting there? Like, let's pretend she's fully sentient, right? We're looking at this from Syl's perspective, and Kaladin's like asking her these deep philosophical Plato-like questions at the end, and he's just like, is it right to take 3 people's lives if it saves 1,000 people? Like, it was a trolley question from those that know philosophy. And I can't imagine Syl just being there like, dude, Kaladin, I don't know the answer to this. Why are you asking me, a Spren of all people, whether it's okay for you to either you're going to kill people or you're not, Kaladin? Are you a warrior? If you're a warrior, you're going to kill people. Why are you here if you're so worried about taking people's lives? I know you want to save people. I'm Wind. I represent freedom. Have you never read a book before? Wind represents freedom, Kaladin. I'm setting you free.
Yeah. That's funny. He could have been like, whoa, really?
Yeah. Basically make Kaladin's voice actor Keanu Reeves like, whoa. Like I never thought
gonna
of
do
that
before. One of the last things, you have your Kindle there in front of you, right?
I have my phone that has Kindle on it.
I wanted to know how many iterations of the word storm was said in this book.
Storm, bless it. Let me look for you.
Storm, Father, storm it.
Oh,
I bet
wow.
it has to be
Oh, wow. Okay, how many do you
500.
think it is?
500.
And this is, I think, 1,100 paperback, 1,001 hardback, somewhere around there. Dude.
Probably over
Dude.
500.
823.
Yeah. So it's being said on average almost once a page.
4 out of every 5 pages will have the word storm on it. Wow. Storm, bless it. That's a lot.
Stormy.
Storm, Father, we are at the end of this video. I would say I highly enjoyed this book. Now, what does that mean? Because I think some people think the opposite of highly enjoyed is didn't enjoy or maybe frustrated. And I don't think that's true. I think maybe enjoyment and painful are opposites. I think frustrated and maybe, I don't know what the opposite of frustrated is, but I think you can both enjoy and be frustrated by something. Hopefully I've conveyed that. I'm trying to be as honest as possible. There were frustrating parts of this book. There is no doubt about that. But overall, I enjoyed it more than was not enjoying or was too frustrated. So I'm very excited to continue with the Words of Radiance. We are going to continue that after a couple of more books here. Thanks Stormfather, Leslie from the Nerdy Narrative, who purchased actually the Words of Radiance for us, which was very nice. So best friend Leslie, thank you out there. We appreciate all that you do for the support for this channel and all that you do to help us enjoy books like this. So we appreciate that, and we're looking forward to more of it. Crypto, your final thoughts?
So with this, I guess I should have been more patient if I'd understood what I was getting into a little bit more. And I guess with me as a traditionalist in fantasy, it builds gradually, and I understand that. But I guess with a lot of the fantasy that I've read before, the books in the beginning were usually a lot smaller. Whether you're going with, whatever series, a lot of times the first book is sometimes the author's very first, foray into publishing a real novel. And it's only 300 or 400 pages. And that is a nice bite-sized chunk that you can get a lot out of character development, plot development, and world building, and just give a taste. And you also don't trap yourself into or paint yourself into a corner. And I felt like this was maybe a little overambitious from my perspective of not realizing that this was an 11,000 page story, and I got the first 1,000 pages. Maybe as a moron, if I'd gotten 500 pages, I could have enjoyed it more. Doesn't mean I didn't enjoy it. Doesn't mean I'm not going to continue on this journey, because I want to see where it goes, because I think it does get better, as we've heard. But I need a bite-sized chunk. I had a hard time digesting it all. So.
All right, so guys, hopefully you enjoyed the discussion today. This is going to be a little bit of a different format for this series because we're not really totally fantasy readers. We're experiencing this for the first time. Let us know what you guys think of this book. Was this like the greatest thing since jam and bread for you? Let us know in the comments down below. We'd love to hear your thoughts. In the meantime, please consider hitting the subscribe button if you'd like to follow us on our Words of Radiance journey. Una out.
Storm out.